And as the shadows stretch longer across both Buckingham Palace and the hills of California, a cold dread begins to settle over those who once believed this was just another scandal destined to fade into the tabloids. Because this isn't a fleeting PR fire or a social media storm that can be weathered with a carefully worded statement. This is a war for truth, legacy, and the future of the monarchy itself. And behind closed doors, royal aides are reportedly scrambling, poring over decades-old laws, dusting off constitutional clauses, and engaging emergency legal advisors to determine exactly what happens if a child born of a surrogate, whose existence was never disclosed to the crown or the people, is found to be occupying a space in the line of succession under false pretenses, because such a thing has never happened before. Not in this way, not this publicly, not with the added dimension of a royal rebel prince and his Hollywood-famous wife accused of fabricating not just a personal story, but a dynastic lie. And while the palace has so far held its signature posture of silence, insiders are now leaking signs of panic, rushed meetings, delayed press briefings, frantic phone calls with lawyers and PR firms. Because the moment DL releases her full documents or grants a major interview, this story could morph into an international crisis, and the Crown knows it, the government knows it. Even the Queen's advisors, who once dismissed the Sussexes as a storm that would pass, are now forced to reckon with the possibility that their reluctance to act sooner has allowed the monarchy to stumble into a trap of its own making, one where the refusal to investigate, to verify, to clarify, has now created a vacuum of accountability so dangerous that it threatens not just Harry and Meghan's public standing, but the credibility of royal institutions that depend on absolute clarity of succession and bloodline to maintain their relevance, and the cracks are showing. Former palace staffers are reportedly ready to speak off-record about inconsistencies they noticed during Meghan's pregnancies. Security personnel are coming forward claiming NDAs they were forced to sign under vague legal conditions. Hospital workers in London and California are being questioned about unnamed births and hidden files, and the whispers that once lived only in fringe corners of the internet are now being repeated in the very halls of power, as the British public, already weary of royal drama, demands to know whether the Sussexes played the world for fools, while the monarchy, desperate to preserve peace, looked the other way. And yet, through it all, Meghan remained silent, completely absent from public view, no appearances, no photo ops, not even a stray paparazzi sighting, nothing, as if the woman who once mastered the media now fears it will consume her, while Harry, increasingly isolated, is said to be battling with his own conscience, snapping at friends, retreating into seclusion, haunted by what insiders describe as a weight too great to carry. And all the while, DL reportedly prepares her next move. A televised sit-down, perhaps, or a court filing, or a leak of the birth records she claims will blow the entire charade wide open. And every royal reporter, every political analyst, every viewer who once believed in the Sussex fairy tale now waits with bated breath for what comes next. Because if DL speaks, and what she says is backed by even a shred of verifiable proof, then the monarchy will be forced to confront not just the actions of Meghan and Harry, but its own refusal to demand truth when the truth mattered most. And as the tidal wave of doubt crashes across headlines, timelines, and television broadcasts, the world begins to realize that this isn't just the undoing of a royal narrative, it's the unmasking of a carefully cultivated illusion, one that was sold with charm and tears, with Spotify podcasts and Oprah confessions, but now lies shattered at the feet of a woman who claims to be the invisible architect of it all. A woman who says she gave life to children the world believed were born of a duchess. A woman who says she was promised silence and compensation, but was instead discarded. And now, with DL reportedly preparing a televised address of her own, one that could rival Oprah in scale and impact, the Sussexes find themselves more cornered than ever, trapped in a house of mirrors they themselves helped build, where every reflection now shows not adoration, but suspicion. And the cost is mounting rapidly, not just in terms of public trust, but in relationships, reputations, and revenue. Because Hollywood, once their kingdom in exile, is beginning to recoil as producers grow hesitant, as former collaborators distance themselves, as deals hang in limbo over the simple, terrifying question, What if none of it was real? What if the very foundation of the Sussex brand, the image of the compassionate, persecuted mother and the palace gates may be gilded, but not even gold can shield the British monarchy from the radioactive fallout of the most scandalous revelation of our time. Because just when Meghan Markle and Prince Harry thought they had escaped the relentless grip of royal tradition and public scrutiny, just when the world began to forget the whispering rumours about her pregnancy, just when the staged photo ops and carefully curated narratives seemed to be holding, the truth, or something far more dangerous than truth, has clawed its way out from the shadows and into the blazing light of international outrage. A woman, anonymous no more, stepping forward to shatter the illusion with words so lethal they could unravel the monarchy's future in one blow, claiming not only that she was the surrogate behind the births of Archie and Lilibet Diana, but that she is in fact their biological mother, and suddenly the world finds itself spiraling into a fever dream of deception, silence, betrayal, and constitutional chaos. As DL, her initials now infamous, emerges with what she alleges are receipts, hospital records, financial transaction logs, signed NDAs, proof that she was promised privacy and compensation and received instead only erasure from the royal narrative. And in doing so, she has revived the conspiracies Meghan fought so hard to bury, conspiracies that once thrived in the cracks of every shifting baby bump photo, every oddly folded belly, every moment of secrecy and silence during both of Meghan's so-called pregnancies, with DL now providing the fuel to reignite the wildfire, and from the press rooms of London to the back channels of Hollywood, the Sussex saga is no longer a tale of love, rebellion, and independence. It has become something far darker, an epic of manipulation, secrets, and shattered royal bloodlines. Because if DL's claims prove true, this is not just a PR disaster, but a constitutional collapse waiting to happen. As the legitimacy of two children bearing royal titles is suddenly in question, their very existence now a legal puzzle for which there may be no royal precedent. And the silence from Buckingham Palace and the Sussexes themselves is no longer a strategy, but a shrieking indictment. Because the longer they remain silent, the louder the public becomes, demanding answers about who really carried those children, about why Meghan's name was mysteriously removed from Archie's birth certificate and replaced with only her royal title, about why the birth locations were shrouded in confusion, why no traditional Lindo wing appearance was made, and why, if everything were above board, such obvious efforts were made to obscure the simplest of facts. And now, with DL's story gaining traction, the shadows Meghan tried to flee have followed her across oceans and continents, back into the headlines, with royal insiders reportedly panicking behind palace walls, whispering that this could be the monarchy's Y2K moment, only this time it's not the computer's FI. And still, as the days stretch into weeks and the headlines continue